It is Tuesday, the 9th of July, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Today we're talking about an artist who I've mentioned in a few previous episodes, but this is the first time we're actually talking about one of his songs, and that is Christian Lee Hutson. Now, he was in a band called the Driftwood Singers, and he released a few solo things, but he finally got his big, push when he released Beginners in 2020. And that is how I got into him as well. Although, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, he's worked with a lot of other artists as producer or session musician, particularly Phoebe Bridgers he's worked with a lot. That's how I would have originally seen him. I mean, he plays on Boy Genius, he plays on Better Oblivion Community Center, he plays on Punisher, so I would have heard him through those. But my friend recommended me this album, which itself was produced by Phoebe Bridgers, and I was kind of blown away by it because I think I did end up putting Punisher as my favorite album of that year in my little top 10 list I made, but retrospectively I think Beginners is my favorite of 2020. It's so fucking good. It really blew me away. I still listen to it a lot, and we are going to be talking today about the third track on Beginners, which is called Lose This Number. This is definitely my favorite song on the album, although toff competition. They're all great songs, Bront. But this is the one that I think immediately kind of caught my attention. I liked all of them on the album, but this is the one that stuck with me. And yeah, I don't think I have much else to say about it before we listen to it. So let's listen to it now and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. I really love the energy of this song. It's so slow and soothing, Despite the lyrics not being particularly happy, it has this really nice, warm energy, And there's something about it, despite it, I haven't counted, but I don't think, it doesn't sound like it's in an irregular time signature, but it still kind of gives me the vibe of a waltz. I think it's the drum beat, the kind of rhythm, the do 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 do. Yeah, it is kind of like a it has kind of that waltzy feel to it, if that makes sense. I don't know if that comes across or if I'm just kind of imagining that, but it sounds to me almost like a waltz, just in the terms of the rhythm of it. So it really makes you think of I can imagine slow dancing to this, head on someone's shoulder late into the night, right? But what's interesting to me is that I had always wondered kind of a lot about this song, what it's about, what the lyrics specifically mean, because I know it off by heart at this point, but I didn't necessarily know what it was about. And I've always assumed it was about an ex, someone that you have all these specific memories of, but you're trying to forget them either for their good or your own good, which is what the Lose This Number refrain is. But apparently, according to Phoebe Bridgers and Marshall Vore, it's about a distant dad, which I was like, oh, that's weird that it's about a father-son relationship. But then I read the lyrics again and I was like, oh no, I can totally see it actually. I think I was also kind of confused because the music video is largely shots. You should watch it. It's great. Great vibes. Lots of shots of him in bed with a woman. I just kind of assumed that's what it was getting at. But if it is really about his dad, I can kind of see that in the lyrics. It is a bit confusing because the way I read it now with that knowledge makes me think that the verses are from the perspective of the dad singing to Christian and the chorus is Christian replying. Although there are parts of the second verse that could really be Christian. So I'm a bit fuzzy on the POV, but that also could just be, things go like that sometimes when you're writing it. Things kind of get away from you when you just write it how it comes out, and it might not make any sense, but the vibe is there, right? Kiss from a Rose, the lyrics don't make any goddamn fucking sense, but it's got a vibe. If you write down the lyric, I compare you to a kiss from the rose on the gray, that doesn't make any sense, but when it's Seal fucking belting it out going, baby, you feel it, And so in this one, the lyrics make sense, but the perspective is a bit obscure to me. But we'll go through it anyway and see if we can puzzle it out. Bobby helped me track you down because I just saw your name in the paper. You said, of course, that reminded you of me. Don't you know that's how a name works? I love the snark right off the bat in this one. It's great. It's one of those kinds of lyrics that I really like, where it's a very simple, something's presented kind of poetically or artistically, and then it's defeated in the reply. I talked about this a lot with Rocky Took a Lover by Bell X1 back in I think the second week or the third week of this show, and it comes up a lot in the Mountain Goats and stuff. The famous lyric from Going to Georgia of the most remarkable thing about you standing in the doorway is that it's you and you're standing in the doorway. I love that kind of thing. And here we have that, Bobby helped me track you down because I just saw your name in the paper. It's yeah, that's how a name works. It's a great little snarky bit. I know you don't have to forgive me. Hell, you probably shouldn't. I got scared and I took off. I wanted to try, but I couldn't. And that's what makes me think that this verse is specifically from the perspective of the dad. The whole thing about you don't have to forgive me. I got scared and I took off. It feels like a dad who ran away and now is trying to get back into their son's life. That night you shook me, but I wasn't sleeping. You were afraid of the thunder. Asked me to come in the bedroom, pulled me under the covers. See, when I thought this was about an ex, I thought this was reminiscing of a specific night they had together, because I read asked me to come in the bedroom as come, as in cum, right? And pulled me under the covers, like it's sort of a sexy thing. And following it up with lose this number is such a contrast. But if this is about a parent and child, it makes so much more sense. It's just a memory of him as a child going into his dad and like, I'm afraid of the thunder, come into the bedroom and comfort me, right? So it's interesting how different these lyrics become when you have the different interpretations in your mind, But also it's interesting to me how like the father is saying, I tracked you down, you don't have to forgive me. And then he brings up this night where his son sought comfort and his son's response is lose this number. That's such a punch in the gut, you know what I mean? That the dad is trying to connect and the son is saying, I don't want to. And I'm not trying to say this in defense of the dad, because I don't know Christian Lee Hutson's situation at all. But it shows you the seriousness and the weight of the situation, that he's not entertaining the idea of getting him back in his life, and he's saying lose this number. It's oh, woof. I gotta say, I love this song musically. It's guitar and it's strings, it's drums. But I really particularly love the delivery of the chorus. It's just a really nice melody. He has such a nice voice, so smooth. It's like I was born in the back of a bullet with your name written on it. This city will probably kill me. It's the only thing keeping me honest. I want to crawl into this daydream I'm having and live here forever. Confetti blowing into the ocean, three of us finally together. This is where you can still read this as being from the dad's perspective, especially that line, three of us finally together. It's like he's reminiscing about being father, mother, and son as a family together, right? But the first line is what makes me think this might be from the perspective of Christian Lee Hutson, that it's like I was born on the back of a bullet with your name written on it. Because it makes it sound like he's talking about being his father's son, having this legacy, having his name written on him. But also, it could be the dad talking about, like, destined to reunite with him, a bullet with his name on it, which is a weird way to phrase that, but you understand what I'm saying, I hope. And yeah, where the whole time I've just been asleep here, 20 years younger, smell of sugar and seaweed, Indian summer. Just remembering previous times, right? And having this nostalgia for it, and having the smell in your head. That's a very specific thing that happens all the time, where you have a sense memory of something, Then it goes into the final chorus, which is just repeating lose this number, but after the second time he says listen. And I love that so much. It really gets it across really well, because it's lose this number, listen. Lose this number. Like, the music pauses and he says listen, like, I need you to understand, and then he repeats it. It really gets that across really well. So yeah, it's interesting considering the different interpretations of this, but it being about a father makes sense to me. Really love it musically, love the strings, love the drums, love the guitar, love the singing. He has such a great voice and very blue eyes. The music video, he's really just staring into your soul the whole time like a sad puppy. Yeah, I don't think I have much else to say about this. I just really love this song. If you like this, I fully recommend the whole album. It's so good. Northsiders. I've had Seven Lakes stuck in my head for the last few days for some reason. I don't know why, because I don't know a lot of lyrics of it. Get the old band back together. Atheist, the opening track is great. I think it's very funny that Christian Lee Hutson starts with a song called Atheist. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Please give me a like or a comment or a subscription. Spread this around to your friends, your family. Put it on your Facebook, your Twitter, if anyone checks either of those things anymore. Tell your friends. Tell anyone who will listen, please. I'm dying and I have 10 kids to feed. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
Now, he was in a band. I should have looked this up before I started talking. What a fool I am. I think they're called the Something Singers. Come on, Google, work with me here. The Driftwood Singers. Oh, Christ. I had the microphone fully turned away from me, and that looks like that spiked the waveform. Jesus. Still recovering from my cold. He has such a nice voice, so smooth. Ooze. Please give me a like or a comment or a subscription. Spread me. Oh my goodness. My word.